Hey guys, this is Al. It's Sunday, 17th of August, and I didn't give you an update last week on the Bentley because I was on the road. I actually went out and picked up another car, so I did a 1,000-mile round trip on Saturday to Mississippi, and I picked up a car and came back, and that was on Saturday. And on Sunday I was pretty much useless to anybody. The only thing I did is just drop the trailer off at the shop. I actually left the car at the house because I wanted to work on it, and I wanted to basically be able to come out, work on it, and then go back into the house and cool off and get some work done that way. Seems like every time I do a video over here somebody's doing yard work. Anyway, let me show you this car and you can tell me what you think. This is a 1991 Mercedes Benz 300 SL. It's somewhat of a special car, and I'll show you why. It's sitting here right next to my 98 500 SL, or rather SL 500, that I've owned for maybe 12 years. Bodywork's really nice. I was working with a guy in Mississippi. I don't know how long he'd owned the car, but I did see the car on Bring a Trailer from a few years ago. It wasn't running when I bought it, but I'll be working on it all weekend, and I will show the updates on the video when I do the editing. So the reason this car is so special is it has two very unique features. One of them being the dogleg manual 5-speed gearbox, which is as rare as chicken lips. I actually had another 5-speed car, but it was in such bad shape that I ended up selling it to a guy who was a Mercedes Benz mechanic. I did tell him that it wasn't in good shape, but he wanted it anyway, and I'm not sure what he's done with it since. The other thing that it has, which is super special, is it has ADS suspension. So this car runs on 4-wheel hydraulic suspension, which is a very unique feature for a 6-cylinder car. That was an option that was given on the V12s, but never an option on the 6-cylinder. So what did I do when I got the car running? Well, there's a couple of things that I did. First of all, the gas inside the car was super old. It had about 15 gallons of gas, so I drained the tank, and the fuel pumps were locked up. I was able to free up the fuel pumps. There's a dual fuel pump set up on these cars, and one of them wasn't working right, so it wasn't feeding enough fuel to the fuel distributor. What I also did is I took the fuel distributor off because I was worried it wasn't getting any fuel coming out of the fuel distributor, and I soaked it in the ultrasonic cleaner and cleaned it up. So basically the function of what I've done so far is I pulled both fuel pumps out, stuck them both in the ultrasonic cleaner, cleaned them up. One came back and worked really well, the other one didn't, and then the fuel distributor was also removed and put back. So the way that the fuel pumps are set up is that you have the fuel tank feeding a single fuel pump. That fuel pump feeds fuel into the other fuel pump, and then that fuel pump goes into the filter and then back out into the front of the car. Obviously the lower fuel pump was bad, which is why the car wouldn't run. It just wasn't getting enough fuel to the fuel distributor. I removed the fuel lines, the feed lines, and it was barely trickling into the fuel distributor. That certainly wasn't enough pressure to get the fuel injectors to pop. Initially I thought it was a problem with the fuel distributor itself, which is why I took the fuel distributor off and got it cleaned. I think it was necessary anyway because the piston was very sticky. But in any case, what I did today is I bought these little wheel chocks, and for any of you guys that want to take a gamble, if you need to get a CIS car running, get a little bottle of gas like this, stick a little hole in it, and then use it to feed the air intake system, and the car will start and you'll have just enough fuel to keep the car running, which is pretty much how I got the car onto the ramps, and then I was able to get underneath it and tried to figure out what was going on. What I end up doing as a temporary measure, because I have got a fuel pump coming in, is I removed, basically I bypassed the first fuel pump. So I just took the lines off the first fuel pump, took the power off it, and then I connected the gas tank directly to the second fuel pump, and that would go straight to the car. So because the lower fuel pump was the problem, I was able to basically bypass it. Hey guys, it's Al again. I'm back at the house. So I was working on both my SLs this week. So and both of them were fuel pump problems actually. So I got the replacement fuel pump for this car. I put it in. Everything went pretty smooth. It wasn't a big deal. But then I found that this car developed a huge fuel leak as well. So I put it up on the ramp. And if you guys don't have any of these Rhino ramps, they're the best things in the world if you're working from home, because you can fold them up and stack them away, and then if you just need to get underneath the car real quickly, you can just roll them onto the ramp, put wheel chocks on them, and get underneath and get some work done. So I looked underneath, and the fuel pump itself, the casing, I guess is crimped on, and it was just leaking around the actual casing. So I replaced that, and I replaced the fuel hose that goes from the fuel pump to the fuel filter, because that was all rotten and just nasty. So so with that said, they're both running nicely right now. There are a couple of issues with this car that I need to go through, and I'll talk to you about it in a sec once I get the car running. But I think I'm ready to give you a quick test drive around the block and show you how it works. Right, so a couple of things with this car that I've noticed that there's a problem with. One of them is that there is some kind of short that's causing it to drain the battery, right? And when you plug the battery in, it'll spark immediately, which means that something's turned on that won't turn itself off. So I've got to figure out what that is. And the way you figure this out is by pulling fuses. So you basically disconnect the battery, and then you connect a multimeter between the terminals, and then you just measure a voltage or amperage, and then because you can do it with the test light as well, then start pulling fuses, and when the light goes out, then you know that there's no current being drawn. The other thing is that this climate control unit doesn't work, and I could have sworn it worked when I bought the car, but then I turned it off because I was worried that it may drain the battery, and lo and behold, it stopped working. The ADS light is continuously on. I did flush all the old fluid out just by running the engine and directing the fluid to a container, and I did the wheel-to-wheel steering lock thing, which is when you disconnect the battery, the ADS light would typically light on, but then you turn the wheel one direction and then the other direction, it should go out. Didn't go out, so I'm not sure exactly what the problem is. The auxiliary fan's always on. Probably one of the pressure switches being tripped, and so that's constantly running. And then the vacuum gauge doesn't work. So obviously the most important thing for me is I've got to figure out the electrical problem, and then get the air conditioning working, because this is Texas and it is 100 degrees over here. So without AC, it's not fun at all. As far as it runs pretty good when it's running, but it does take a long time to start. With a fuel accumulator, what will happen is that when the engine is started and it's been run for a while and you turn it off, when you go back to turn it back on, it'll start right away. But if the engine has been left sitting for a while, it will have trouble starting. The symptoms on this car may be the fuel accumulator, but it may not. I'm not sure exactly what it is right now. But if I start it, see, it takes a while to start up, which is obviously fuel pressure, right? But then once it builds up fuel pressure, it's fine. You can see right now it doesn't want to rev. Could also be a vacuum issue, like as far as this revving goes. But if I leave it to run for a while, it'll behave itself. Alright, so let's go for a quick drive. Let's see if I can just yeah. Alright, so as you can see, the shifter is a dogleg gearbox. So first gear is 1 and down, and then it goes to second. I've got both windows down because there's no AC. But it drives pretty well. Just tripped a low coolant light, so I've got to figure out what that is. That happened as I was going downhill, so I don't think we're low on coolant, but I don't think there's a huge problem. It's not like I'm leaking coolant right now. All in all, it drives pretty well. The engine's pretty smooth once it's warmed up, and brakes work fine, the touch pedal works fine. I've got to figure out what the auxiliary fan's on continuously, and it may just be a bad a worn out fan clutch. Because that would do it. But this is pretty much the end. Let me park the car back up. So that's it, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. It is a nice car. I'm liking it, and as I do more work, I'll give you guys additional updates. Thank you very much. Take care. Bye bye.